Dave Hill here, back at you with your next lesson. I hope you've taken a little breather since our last lesson, maybe went away and had a cup of coffee or something, and then you've come back and you're ready for your next lesson. All right, so we've talked about major scales. We've talked about some new chords from our last lesson. So let's just, before we get going here, let's just warm up on the scale that we just learned. Okay, and I'm gonna get you back over here and you can look at the pattern 3, and we're gonna review that, and we're just gonna play that for a warm-up. Okay, so we're going to look over here at pattern 3 and review for warm-up. Okay, here we go. I'm going to start our metronome so we have a nice click. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to play up and down the scale for a few moments. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. Again. Okay, now, for those of you who are feeling more comfortable with your technique, you might want to use double time. Check this out. That's going to be twice as fast. It's going to sound like this. Now, that might seem like a lot faster. I can slow it down a little bit. Oops, let's not do that. Let's go here. That's actually the wrong one. How about this now? Okay, so I'm playing 16 notes. I'm playing 4 notes per beat, okay? But it's a good way to warm up. Eventually we want to get to the feeling of 16th notes with our left hand and our picking hand. Okay, again. 3, 4. Oops, 3, 4. See, even an instructor messes up. How about that? 3, 4. Again. Okay, so that was 16th notes, okay? So you can do that for a warm-up. You can do sequences like we've learned before. In fact, let's do a sequence now with our scale pattern, and just to change it up a little bit. So I'm going to go back to my board right here. Now I've got what's called a group of 3 sequence. Okay, so what that means is I'm going to play 3 notes up the scale, and then I'm going to start on the next. I'm going to jump back to the beginning note, and then I'm going to begin on the next degree of the scale and go up 3 notes. And then I'm going to keep repeating that sequence. And it's going to sound like that, okay? So check it out. Let me play it slowly. Okay, that's called a group of 3 sequence. Okay? So let's check that out one more time, and I'm going to do it with the sequencer. Okay? 2, 3, 4. Now, notice that I stopped it over there, right? But that doesn't mean that's as high as I could have gone with the sequence. It just means that I ran out of board because the guys that made the board didn't make it long enough. You see? So if I would have had a longer board, I could have kept going, but I don't have enough room. But you can do that at home, okay? It just sounds like this. And then you go all the way up to, I guess if you wanted to end it like that, you could just do that. Or just as high as you could go. And then just come back down. Okay, and that's a sequence. That's called a C major scale sequence, and I would call it more specifically a group of 3 sequence. So let's try that, the sequencer one more time. Let's do it a little faster though. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. All the way up. Back down. Alternate picking all the way. Okay, so that's a major scale sequence. That's a really good one for warming up and also just for working on your technique and just getting your picking together. Okay, so I'm going to show you some other things to do with your major scale now that we've learned it. We've learned these patterns over here, and there's a lot of musical ideas now we can start to incorporate with our major scale. So let's take pattern 3, the one that we were just working from there, and I'm just going to sit down here because I'm an old guy and I got to sit down. You know, my wooden leg's going to start acting up. Okay, so here's our major scale, right? Now, what can we do with this that we haven't really explored? Well, one of the neat things about the major scale is there's half steps in this scale where a pentatonic didn't have half steps. A half step is when you have only one finger right next to each other. That's called a half step. And there's 2 of them in a major scale, between the 3rd and the 4th degree of the scale and between the 7th and 8th. So to really bring out the sound of the major scale, the half steps in the scale really do that, okay? So I like to play around those half steps. So if I were going to emphasize the sound of the major scale and more of the major quality of the major scale, I'd probably play the half steps a lot. I might do stuff like right? I'm taking the half steps and I'm bending up to them. Right? And listen how that really sounds like a nice melodic phrase now, because I'm really emphasizing the 7th. Right? It has a nice melodic sound to it, right? Check it out. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Jackson just walked in the building. This is Hollywood and anything can happen, believe me. Michael, it's good to see you. I'm sorry about that whole thing, you know, and that you're exiled in Dubai or wherever it is that you're at. But, you know, hey, hope that all works out for you. Anyway, sorry, let's get back to the lesson. See you later, Michael.